Gotta think about it. When it comes to rock music, how many bands do you consider okay, but you don't really listen to them a lot, they're not your cup of tea? How many bands out there do you despise and just say they suck, in your opinion? I really got a lot of those bands for myself, but I respect rock real music enough to say, hey, at least I can give them respect. But there's one band that I really just don't know where to put them. But as I sit there and think about it, they've been there for me in a lot of moments in life, and I just didn't realize it. I'm talking about the band Shinedown. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back, music lovers, especially my rock music lovers. Do me a favor. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please do so right now. Hit that subscribe button. That'll absolutely help me and this channel grow. That is why I'm here. And I cannot do it without you, the audience. Everybody that watches my videos, the ones that show me support and love, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. The ones that give me backhanded comments and just negative feedback, I thank you as well, because it's still engagement on the channel, whether it's good or not. At least you're watching, and that helps me. If you never watch another one, I get it. Fine, no big deal. But if you've watched one, you've helped me out. So thank you. Thank everybody. But again, if you're not subscribed, please do so right now. Now listen, Shinedown is a band that has popped in my head so many times when I've thought about what's my next video? What do I want to talk about next? Now, I've always pushed it to the wayside, but I had to think of it in a different perspective when it comes to Shinedown. Now, one thing I find absolutely awesome is pretty much the origins of Shinedown. And it's such a cool story because Brent Smith, the lead singer, he was actually in another band called Drev in 2000. And that band was signed to Atlantic Records. That's a huge deal. If I was in a band and I got signed to a huge label like Atlantic or any other, I'd be ecstatic. Problem was, the label had signed them but didn't really believe in them that much and dropped them. They didn't drop everybody though. They kept Brent Smith by himself and they signed him to a development deal. Kept him only him. I mean, that has to be a huge boost to confidence. Even though they tell you your band's not good enough, we're going to drop you. But we're going to keep you because we believe in you. You know, that has to be an amazing feeling. It's kind of bittersweet, right? But they let him stay. They helped him with his songwriting ability. They helped him with his singing ability. They helped him grow all the aspects he needed to become a great frontman and great artist. And they told him, hey, you go out and find some new members, form a new band. And this obviously would lead to him finding new members and creating the band Shinedown. So Brent Smith moved out to Jacksonville, Florida in 2001 to start working on this project that Atlantic Records gave him the opportunity to do, which is absolutely amazing. When he got out there, first person he recruited was bassist Brad Stewart. He came on, so now it was just a two-piece. And those two actually started getting together, writing songs, recording early demos before they ever had any members of the band. Next, they brought in guitarist Jason Todd. And then after that, drummer Barry Kirch. Now, at that point, you had a four-piece, you had the band. Those guys got together, they started writing, they started recording, and Brad Smith initially sent out about 4 or 5 songs to Atlantic Records. They loved it, they green-lighted a full-length album, and that was where it all began. So May 27th of 2003 is when Shinedown released Leave a Whisper, their debut album. And this is where I go back to saying, if I can't decide where to put Shinedown on that list of rock roll greats, I think about this. When that album came out in 2003, the first song I heard was 45. And it's their most, I'm going to say their most iconic song. It's what got them going. It's what got them noticed. And it's an amazing song. I was in high school at that time. That's when a lot of us, I guarantee, start to dabble in, we're in love for the first time. We're going to try a couple things for the first time. We're thinking we're grown-up adults already, and we know now that wasn't the case. But we just figure we're alone in this world. All we got is our friends, and everything else is second to that. You know, that this is our life forever. Which, thinking about it now, I feel so stupid thinking that was my thought process at that time. I had to have my friends, I had to have my girlfriend, and if I didn't, life was over. But Shinedown's 45 was huge, and throughout our high school, it was when it came out, everybody was playing it. Everybody had it on a burnt CD, everybody had it on their MP3 player, and the local rock stations were jamming it, you know. And then they did the cover for Lynyrd Skynyrd's Simple Man. So if people didn't know that was a Lynyrd Skynyrd song, and they only heard Shinedown's version, and they thought that those guys did an amazing song, which they did an amazing cover of it, and they still do it at their live shows. But, you know, they did Lynyrd Skynyrd's version absolute amazing justice, and they did their version 100% uniquely theirs, and I absolutely love it. And from that moment on, Shinedown was well on its way to create its own legacy, which, whatever that would be. But those songs that came out on Leave a Whisper instantly take me back to high school. But can I sit there and say that I'm going to look for them every day to jam them while I'm doing something? No. I don't find a lot of Shinedown songs when I'm looking for something to listen to. But when I stop and think about it, that album especially, it gives me some fond memories. After the release of Leave a Whisper, the band Shinedown was received well by the rock community. There was a great album. They went on tour with bands like Seether, Three Doors Down. So they were getting a lot of recognition. Now, they didn't get right back in the studio, initially to work on their sophomore album. But when they finally did in 2005, they would get in the studio, they would record it, and then October 5th of 2005, they would drop Us and Them. This album absolutely was amazing. Now, for me, again, it was like the next step in my life. As Shinedown was moving on to their next step, their second album, I was moving on to out of high school now. So, no more. It's like in high school, you have something to fall back on. You get up every day, wherever you live, whether mom and dad, for me it was my aunt. I'd get up, go to school. I knew whatever happened, I had my friends, I was happy. I always had a place to go, a bed to sleep in, food to eat. And then it came to high school's over. 18 years old, got to move on. It was always a place I could stay if I wanted to. If I needed to go back to my aunt's or my grandma's, I could always go there. But you're trying to grow up in life. And so 18, I'm out. I get my own apartment. I'm on my own. Us and Them was an amazing album because when it came out, you had the singles, Heroes, Save Me, I Dare You, which were blasted all over the local rock stations. But for me, that was one of the many, well, it's not a big list, but one of those albums from start to finish, I listened to every single one of those songs. For me, Beyond the Sun, Lady So Divine, Fake, Someday, those were some of my favorite songs on that album. And just like my life moving on, trying to figure out what's next, that album was there for me. And I look back now and I didn't even realize it before because I just don't think of Shinedown a lot when I want to throw something on to listen to. They don't come on my mind that much. But as I think about this album now, I'm like, man, that album was there for me when I was trying to figure out what the hell I was going to do next in life. Shinedown would end up releasing their third studio album June 24th of 2008. The album was The Sound of Madness. And Brent Smith has done many interviews saying the writing behind this album was so personal because he suffered from major issues with substance abuse. Now, this is where I go back and say if you've been there, you know those feelings. You know how dark places can get and how bad things can seem. But Brent Smith was there and he felt it, and you could feel it in the lyrics for every song on this album. I remember hearing the song Devour for the first time. That was the first song I heard of this album before it was released, and it was just so catchy and upbeat, and just, it was a good rock song. And then the album released, and then you hear Second Chance, Sound of Madness, If You Only Knew, Crow and the Butterfly, and Diamond Eyes, which was, it was on the soundtrack for the Expendables movie that was huge that year. And this album, man, it was amazing. And again, this time, I would love to be more transparent with you, my audience. I'm not to that point yet, or at least in this channel, where I can fall back on the channel and say, I don't care what people think, but as you got a job and you got to worry about certain image, you don't want to say everything. But I do want to eventually be able to tell you everything about my life without any consequence, because I know I got this channel, I got you, my audience, and that's what I'll fall back on. And it won't matter what anybody's perception of me is. But I was in a bad spot when this album came out. And every one of these songs I got to hear in those moments of my own madness. And it was a big deal. In fact, from this album on, for my next 6 years of my life probably, they were the worst moments of my life, the darkest moments of my life. And this album was there at the beginning, that starting line. And it would be there moving forward. So Shinedown would follow up their third studio album, The Sound of Madness, with their fourth, which would be released March 27th of 2012, Amaryllis. Now, this album is when I was kind of fell off with Shinedown. I wasn't into them as much or anticipating their next album, but it was a huge album for them. Songs like Bully, Unity, Enemies, I'll Follow You Down, Adrenaline were all big hits that were blasted on most rock stations around the country and the world. And it was a great album for them. Did great. But when I talk about basing it on my experience, there was one song that in my moment of just chaos in life, this is what I think about. And well, it was this song right here. Now that was the song Miracle off Amaryllis, and that song right there, I was in such a bad moment in life. Horrible. And one day I really would like to share that with you, because I'm not ashamed of any direction I took in life. I don't have no regrets. Could I have chose different routes? Yes, we all could have. But I was in a bad spot right here. Bad spot. And that song, I'd be sitting in the dark, just in a very bad, it was a bad moment. And that song, it helped me. For some reason, it just helped heal me in the moment. And I listened to it for, I don't know how long, months probably, just because I loved it. And it helped me. Don't know why or how, but it did. Now when I think about that moment or that place I was in life, and I throw that song on just to see if I get any sort of feeling, and it does give me a feeling. It gives me a feeling of, I remember where I was, and I know where I'm at. So it's kind of a moment of proudness for myself. But that was probably the one Shinedown song that was with me through the darkest moments that I can look back at and say, man, thank you Shinedown for that song. Thank myself for climbing out of that huge, huge hole. So after Amaryllis in 2015, Shinedown released Threat of Survival, which was another album that kind of drew my attention back to them because it was a certified gold. The songs cut the chord and stayed in my head. When I first heard them, I was like, oh shit, okay. Shinedown's kind of giving me something I can draw interest in again. And I love those songs, and it was a great album. And then in 2018, Attention, Attention, another album. It was certified gold. It had some great hits for them. Again, they were getting a lot of attention from it. It was Shinedown. It was a Shinedown song. You knew it right away. They have their own style. And you can't help but not play them on the radio. That's the type of music they create. It's something that has to be jammed on the radio. And then in 2022, they released Planet Zero, which is their most recent album, has not been certified. But again, it's 100% Shinedown. So I think about everything I've said here, and I got to ask you, what do you think of Shinedown? Are they one of your favorite bands? Do you hold them in that high of a regard that they're one of the greatest rock bands ever? Or are you kind of like me, where you know they've done great things, you respect the hell out of them, but you just never considered them one of those bands that's like, if I give a list of a top 50 maybe, would Shinedown be on there? I don't know. I would like to think I'd put them there. But Shinedown has been there for me all through my life in some moments that were insane. And as I sit and think about it now, I'm like, you know what? Shinedown, as much as they've been there for me, they are a badass rock and roll band. And they should be treated as such. So I gotta know. Please drop in the comment section your opinion on Shinedown. Where do you put them on the list of greats? What do you think they've given us for rock music? I think they've given us some great things. But anyway, please, I gotta know. In the comment section. Drop those comments. But until next time, go out there, take care of yourself, your friends, your family. Do something great. Doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. You gotta do it for you. And you gotta do it because life's not worth living if you're just gonna sit on your ass and not go for something great. So again, thank you. Until next time, I'm out.